Thank you very much for that. Let's put our hands together for him again. We have some people who want to become pilots here. Okay, I can see your hands up. That's good. So when we have time for interaction, you can come and talk to him and ask him whatever questions you have. You know, if you want to take his phone number, you can collect it so that he can mentor you. Thank you very much. Okay, so we're going on to our craft maintenance engineer. She's the only lady. There's supposed to be another lady, but she's the only lady right now on the panelist, and she's no other person than Comfort Sunday Ayo. Please put your hands together for her. Girls in the house, let's give her a round. Yes. Thank you. God bless you all. Thank you. That's one of our own. That's the way to do it.
Good morning, everybody. It's an honor to be in your midst today. My name is Comfort Ayok. I'm a licensed aircraft engineer. I work with United Nigeria Airlines. I'm a certifying staff. That means there's a lot of responsibility on me. Aircraft maintenance engineering is fun. Why is it fun? Because it entails a lot. I started out because I was a curious child. How many of you like tinkering things, scattering things, putting them back together? So if you have that passion, it's going to be easy for you to be an engineer, really, because you want to know the workings of things, what's behind something, how does this go about? And I started out that way because I liked playing with things a lot. So growing up, I spoken to my dad when I was 8 years old, and he asked me what I wanted to become. And I told him I wanted to be a pilot, and he laughed. He said he also wanted to be a pilot, but because he was the last born, his mom said she would not get to see him all the time. So he opted for engineering. And he studied mechanical engineering. Because I was fascinated by what he always was doing, I also used to go to the workshop and help him scatter things. Of course, I used to spoil things more, then he has to fix it. So I outgrew the piloting frenzy because I get to work with my dad in the workshop. Then afterwards, I lost him when I was 12 years old. So, but when I was in SS2, my mom called me and also asked me the same question. So what do you want to become when you grow up? And I told her, I told Dad before that I wanted to be a pilot, but I don't know now. So she said I should go and make research and come back to her. And I did. As of then, NCAT fees for piloting was about 7 million naira. And she said, honey, I'm not against your dream, but you have to choose something else because I can't afford that. Of course, we were four, so definitely you can imagine the weight of taking care of all of us. So I started jamming jam. Welcome to Nigeria. As a science student, the next option you want to do is medicine, right? So I started sitting out for jam. I never scored below 220, but I never got the admission. As of then, if you could get that point was something, I don't know now. Now you guys are, I can see 300 sometimes 280. You guys are blazing hot. That's great. So I never got the admission, and my mom just one day said, why don't you pick something else? Why can't you do something else? And that was the turning point for me. I now remember that I used to have fun working with my dad in the workshop. So it was a turning point for me, and I'm grateful to God that he allowed that conversation to happen between myself and my mom. And that's how I started the journey of aircraft engineering. Lucky for me, the Air Force just opened up their school for civilians. They used to train only the Air Force personnel then. So when I went for my diploma in electrical electronics, we were still in a hut, and someone asked and said, as a Nigerian child, we know that you always have a dream of what you want to study, but you end up studying something else. So I told them in the hut, just 2 people were studying what they actually wanted to study from when they grew up. All of us, either had a different career we wanted to study, but ended up studying something else. So that conversation was what brought me to Air Force Institute of Technology, because someone remembered that I said I wanted to be a pilot. And then he called me and said, there's a school in Kaduna that offers aircraft engineering. Since you already have a background in engineering, why don't you go for that? I'm like, really? And that's how I got to the Air Force Institute of Technology. In the first year, it was a class of 58 people, and I was the only girl. It was made up of military personnel and civilians, and I wanted to run. First semester, I was not hearing anything because I was the only girl. The pressure, the military environment, I was choked. I felt really, really bad. I was like, hope I'm making the right decisions. But one thing kept me. My mother struggled to ensure that I do what I wanted to do, and always remembering that I had fun working with my dad on machines. So that's what kept me. And I graduated by God's grace. I got my license afterwards, my postgraduate diploma as well. I'm presently working with the United Nigeria Airlines, like I said earlier. So that's my story. So back to the job itself. Aircraft engineering is a job that is not for the faint-hearted, I would say. Reason being that a doctor works on average with 2 lives. That's either a mother and a child, right? But as an aircraft engineer, the least you're handling is the life of your pilot, his co-pilot, and maybe a passenger. So imagine if you're an aircraft engineer and you're just careless. That means those lives are going to be in danger because of what you're doing, okay? Now imagine a Dreamliner where you have an Airbus that carries minimum of 300 passengers and you're working on that aircraft. That means you're dealing with 300 lives. So aircraft engineering is a job that has to do with you being disciplined and also someone who is trustworthy. First off, the captain walks up to the aircraft. He doesn't look at the aircraft first, he looks at you. Is my aircraft good? And you assure him and say the aircraft is fine, you can go on flight. That's when he goes for his walk around to look at the aircraft, to entail that what you said is true. He goes on board. He's trusting you with his life that morning because as an aircraft engineer, you told him that that plane is serviceable and he can fly on it. And then he also carries that trust and tells his passengers that the aircraft is safe. Now you're the first person to handle the aircraft in the morning and release it to the pilot, and you're equal the last person to receive the aircraft from the pilot at the close of day. By the time the pilot is back from flight, that's when your job starts as an aircraft engineer, because that's when you have to ensure that if there are any snags or any discrepancies the pilot notices, he writes it down for you on the tech log, and you're supposed to clear it before the next flight of the day. So it is paramount that you be a trustworthy person, someone who's disciplined, and someone who can take responsibility. For you to be an aircraft licensed aircraft engineer, you should be at least 18 years of age. That means you're cognitive enough to take decisions. You're an adult, you can take decisions. But for you to be a certifier, that means to release the aircraft service, you must be at least 21 years old. So there's still a hierarchy of cognitive reasoning that you know what you're doing, that you're responsible, you know what you're doing. So, like I always say, anything you're doing at all should be something that you have fun doing, okay? Even if no matter what you're doing, doesn't matter what you do, ensure that you're having fun doing it, because it takes off the stress and the tension that comes with it. Imagine you're an aircraft engineer and you're doing it grudgingly. Imagine you don't love your job. That's catastrophic. You're just in to put a lot of people down. So have fun in whatever you're doing, and you start to have fun from now. Being a science student, I know everybody keeps saying, oh, it's hard, it's difficult, you're dealing with different formulas. Find a way to have fun solving those equations. And when you're able to do that, it's going to be easier for you as you progress. Okay? So, if you want to be an engineer, I'm going to just give you 3 advice. Ensure that you're a trustworthy person. Secondly, you have to be disciplined. For me, I got lucky. I was trained by the Air Force, and you can't misbehave. You're disciplined. So it made it easier for me. But in case you don't get to go to the Air Force training school like I did, then you need to work on yourself. Okay? So you have to be responsible, you have to be trustworthy, and above all, have fun. The greatest joy I always have when I'm sipping my tea is when the aircraft takes off in the morning. I go, oh, that's my baby. Okay? So, and when they come and I get into the cockpit and talk to the captain, I'm like, oh, how's baby Whiskey doing? And the pilot goes, oh, are we not the baby? I'm like, no. My baby is the aircraft. So, have fun. Okay? Have fun. Ask yourself this. Do I just want to do it because of the money, because of the stripes on my shoulders, or I'm doing it because I really love what I'm doing? Okay? So, for you being an aircraft engineer, you have to, of course, science students, is science inclined, physics, chemistry, and all should be your friend. Mathematics. Then geography comes in handy, but it's more handy for our pilots. So, but having those knowledge is easier, and it's easier for you to cross over from being a maintenance engineer to a pilot because you already know the workings of the system. So it's easier for you to cross over. Paraventure, like me, you didn't have the funds. It's a bit easier for you financially when you're studying aircraft maintenance. It's not voluminous like the piloting. So you can transition from aircraft maintenance to flying. Get there and work your way through. Like I always say, it's okay to dream. Keep dreaming. It's absolutely free. The only thing that you don't have to ask yourself is, if you dream, it's your dream. If anybody ridicules that dream, that's his problem, but it's your dream. And then commit it to God, and you'll get there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that. All right, so the next person I'm going to call is Mr. Avaition from the Universal School of Aviation. He's going to talk from that angle to us.
Thank you very much, ma'am, and my colleagues on the podium. I am Oluwaseun Adedu. I'm a pilot, I'm a flight dispatcher, I'm an IT personnel, I'm a lot of things. But today I'm here on the capacity of a trainer. I'm a trainer, a ground instructor for Universal School of Aviation, and I'm here on that capacity. But I would not be doing right if I don't speak. I have colleagues who is a pilot here, and he has said a lot of things. And I have enjoyed what they've said. I've learned from what they've said. But one thing that catches my fancy all the time, first from Ademola, he said that if he had to choose again, he would not think twice. Yes, and I've heard a couple of other people say that same word or that same phrase right on this podium. Since if whenever you are beaten by the aviation bug, the problem is how to get unbeaten. Yes, and our female engineer already told us that the 3 advice: be honest, be disciplined, and then try to enjoy whatever you do. You see, when you enjoy whatever you do, you don't get to work a day in your life. Just keep having fun. Yeah. For me, I'd rather be flying. It's easier job for me to fly than to work as a dispatcher or as an engineer or as a cabin crew. You see, the funny part is, for an airplane to move from point A to point B, it jolly well takes about, depending on what sector of the aviation you are in, it takes about 400 people doing different things for the airplane to move from point A to point B. But it's very easy to just fixate on those guys. Yes. Like I said, I'm here in the capacity of a trainer. 2023 is going to be an awesome year for the world. COVID came, it taught us a lot of things. COVID changed the era of how things are run. Yeah. So a lot of things have now moved on from you having to be present to do certain things, and we now have remote way of doing things now. All right. So Universal School of Aviation is an ATO, approved training organization by Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority and some other civil aviation authority around the world. We have a presence in Lagos, we have a presence in Abuja, we have a presence outside of the country, we have a presence in Sierra Leone, and we have some other stations opening up pretty soon. In Universal School of Aviation, we pride ourselves in standard training, and it is world class. Why I say so is because aviation has made the world to become a global village. You know, you cannot enjoy aviation if you don't relate with other neighboring countries. Nigeria has shared borders with a lot of countries. We have Nigeria sharing borders with Benin Republic. Benin Republic in turn sharing borders with Lome and Accra, like that and like that. So for you to enjoy aviation, you must start to enjoy crossing borders and all sorts. So Universal School of Aviation have a catalog of programs. We would endeavor to share the link where everyone can see what we are able to offer. In 2023, there's going to be a tremendous shortage of personnel in the aviation industry. Yeah, especially the pilots, the flight dispatchers, the engineers, the marshallers. We're going to have a massive shortage of those people. So if you are deciding at such a time as this to start to get trained as any of those professions that I've mentioned, it's a good time for you. It's a good time for you. There are so many things that we can avail ourselves of. I'm just going to go into a catalog here and just list. We offer a BSc course, degree course in aviation. Universal School of Aviation does that. We offer courses on tourism and hospitality management, where you learn how to, some of the people seated here are afraid of heights, but the truth is there are a lot of other things you could do in the aviation industry, and you don't need to go high. Yes, you can decide to, organize travel trips for people. You can decide to help them organize their itinerary for vacation. We have courses that helps you become an expert in that. We have customer services management. We have hotel and hospitality management. We have a flight dispatchers course. Easy peasy, you call that the ground pilot course. Yes, the pilots also depends on some people to ensure that they have a swell day and a safe day. All right, just like the engineers. So we have a flight dispatchers course. We have a travel agency management course. We have airline ticketing and reservation course. We have flights attendants or cabin crew course. We have helicopter landing officers course. For somebody like pilot Avaition now, Abibola now, pardon me. He desperately depends on his helicopter landing officer for a lot of important things, right? Yes, if he doesn't have the helicopter landing officer, telling him how to manage the ground. He's the king of the skies, but the ground he wants to land on, he needs somebody to help him, ensure that the places are safe, So he will be needing helicopter landing officer, to work with him. And we offer such courses, and we offer aviation and airport management courses amongst other courses. And these courses are also available in apart from physical presence, that you have to be there to learn these things. You can do some of these courses virtually, meaning you can be in your home and you learn as you go, and very beautiful payment plans and all of that. And my convener, the Universal School of Aviation convener, has mentioned how much of what am I calling now, scholarships and assistance that the school is willing to give back to the society. The truth is, if you look at statistics, the bicycle seems to be the hardest thing to drive. The bicycle seems to be the hardest thing to drive. But to become a pilot, it is so possible. Let me just use the word. It is so possible because if bicycle is the hardest thing to drive and you don't need a BSc to drive a bicycle, you don't need a science degree to drive a bicycle. The things you need is, can you read? Can you write? Can you understand what you read? Pick those three things and match it with, can you be disciplined? Can you be honest? And you are home and drive. I will borrow what she has said, what the pilot has said earlier. You can be anything you want to be. From the staple of Universal School of Aviation, we are there to ensure that you are equipped, you are properly trained to be what you want to be. We say it this way. We say Universal School of Aviation, upgrading your career. So if you decide you want to pick up a career in the aviation industry, you can check us out. Thank you very much, man.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adeju. We really appreciate that. So if you're interested in a career and you need to go to school, well, that's your person, that's your go-to person. You can talk to him, get his contacts and what have you. Okay, so we're going to move on, and the next person I'm going to call on is he's an aircraft marshal. Azano Yenebu is going to share with us what it takes to be an aircraft marshal. You can see he's fully prepared with his gadgets. He's come to address us.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to appreciate the organizers of this conference. It is a rare privilege, and I want you guys to take it seriously. Personally, I want to borrow from the words of one of the first panelists who said during their days, they were not exposed to this kind of opportunity to leverage on, to pursue a career in the aviation industry. My name is Azano once again, Ogenovo Victor. I'm from the south part of this country. The most populous African country, Abi. So, a quick one. To become an aircraft marshaller is not rocket science. The International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, which is the umbrella body that legislates, that controls everything we do in civil aviation. It is clearly stated, like our aircraft engineer said, well, colleagues, the ability to write, the ability to also read and understand, you understand now, is what you need really to excel in this industry. Then training will come to shape you and prepare you for the particular task, the particular area in aviation that you may want to apply your trade. Now, I'm proud to say anywhere that I'm an aircraft marshaller. Do you know what we do? How many of us have traveled and you've had to pass, move across the area where aircraft are parked? You say that, okay. Now, do you normally see people who hold something like this to give direction to pilots? That is what I do. Now, the pilot is the commander of the flying bird, the aircraft. And it takes responsibility for everything that happens to the aircraft. Now, the aircraft is designed in such a way that there are no side mirrors. Am I right or wrong, sir? Now, the pilot needs the guidance of somebody, a ground staff. And now when we say somebody, it's not just anybody. A trained and certified personnel who will assist the pilot in maneuvering the aircraft on the ground upon arrival and in case of departure. Now, one of the other things I need to mention, I want to borrow from our word, discipline. Aircraft marshalling is serious business. Aircraft are not like the regular automobiles you see on the road that could have a dent and the driver will still continue. Am I wrong or right, sir? For every scratch or dent noticed on any part of the aircraft can no longer move until otherwise certified by the aircraft engineer, taking a copy of the work done. So the CAA, that's in our own case, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority. They have a team of experts too, who will look at the work done by the aircraft maintenance engineer, and give a final verdict that this aircraft can be turned out again for use. So our young aspiring aviators and other participants who may have picked a field already, I want to encourage us. The last speaker here said 2023 is leaving a very big vacuum. The JAPA challenge is real. And what does it tell us? There's going to be a huge skill gap, and we need young, aspiring persons like you to fill these gaps. To become an aircraft marshaller, you must also recognize that you are the gatekeeper. How do I mean when I say the gatekeeper?